In this section, we're going to discuss nesting and chaining of conditional statements. A true condition causes the execution of the true path target statement, as we've seen before. A false condition will execute the false path statement if one exists. The conditionally executed target statement can be an if statement. That would mean if condition statement. This provides us a means for sequentially testing conditions and selecting a single option out of a set of more than two possibilities. When the target of an if statement is itself another if statement, we call that a nested if. Nesting can be as deep as necessary, but after 2 or 3 levels, it becomes difficult to read and understand. The best way to avoid deeply nested if statements is to use a more complicated Boolean expression that puts multiple conditions in one test that's ultimately resolved to a single Boolean value. When the target of an else statement is an if, then we call this a chained else. Author of this book calls it a multi-way if else. Regardless of the terminology, the distinction here is that the target statement of the else keyword is an if statement. And I show an example here. After 2-3 levels, it becomes complicated. And after a while, as you see with the indentation, statement N is going to be way to the right. Let's do some code that shows both nested ifs and chained else. Following with the example we had of our simulated personal assistant, we have the code from last section. I've added a few new booleans. We say now, if threatening rain, take your umbrella. Well, what if it's threatening rain late at night? What I can do is put as the statement is dark. Indent that, and we can say here, take your umbrella and a flashlight. So now if it's both threatening rain and dark, we need to take both the umbrella and the flashlight. If it's threatening rain but not dark, then we'll say, I'll just copy paste this. The target of the else statement will say, take your umbrella and your sunglasses. All right, so sunglasses on a rainy day, it can get bright. But that's the idea. We have nested an if statement in the first if. So now we have 2 levels. This else in line 11 is associated with the if in line 9. The closest if is the test that the else is associated with. Therefore, the else on line 13 is associated with the if on line 8. Let's run this and see. Because it is threatening rain and it is dark, we take the umbrella and the flashlight. Let us now make a chained else by adding an if as the target statement of this else in line 13. We'll say if is late, take your sunglasses and remember curfew. And if it's not late, then we're just going to take our sunglasses. Let's exercise this one. We want threatening rain to be false and we want late to be true. Let's run it. And it says, take your sunglasses because it's not raining, and remember curfew because it is late. Is dark is a nested if, and is late is a chained else because we're chaining off of the else. If the set of options is large, chained else's is the correct way to code the choices, the selection statements. However, as I showed, that indentation can get very awkward. But there is a formatting trick you can use to make that deeply chained else statements look very nice. And here's an example. If condition 1, statement 1, else, and on the line with the else put if condition 2, statement 2, etc. And notice that statement 1, statement 2, all the way to statement N line up. This formatting allows us to deeply chain else's yet have extremely readable code.